Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 452 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with blood as he stared at the illusory net that had appeared in the void. He stared at Torren, who was attacking the net to break into the palace. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at the illusory net. Time slowly passed as he struggled against the rejection force. 11th breath, 12th breath, 13th breath. Although these breaths seemed to have passed by in an instant, they felt like years to Wang Lin. It was as if 300 years had slowly passed by. The powerful rejection force was like a storm, and it increased in power with every breath as if it wanted Wang Lin's body to collapse. Blood was coming out of the corner of Wang Lin's mouth, the veins on his face were swollen, and his heart was pounding as if it was following some kind of rhythm. His roar that had almost become a hiss had come from Wang Lin's mouth and nose. His origin energy was operating at its limit inside his body. Even his ancient god body felt that pain was unbearable. It was as if his meridians would explode if he kept resisting. Even his body would explode into a pile of meat. As he roared, Wang Lin only had one idea in his mind: he couldn't let the aura inside his body leave, he must not. No matter what, he had to go all out. Once he gave up and was kicked off the chair, he would have given up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Wang Lin wouldn't allow this to happen. The 6 ancient god stars were rotating rapidly as the 7th star slowly rotated and became more and more clear. A bright light came from the 7th star, making it even more dazzling. There was a devilish energy vortex rotating inside his right eye, and an ancient devil star was flashing. During the 13th breath, a vague ancient devil star appeared in his right eye. This was the first ancient devil star. Although it was vague, it was the proof of Wang Lin resisting the rejection force from the throne. However, the price of the 13th breath was too big. Popping sounds echoed and the flesh below his waist couldn't stand the force anymore. Large amounts of blood covered the throne and then the flesh below his waist exploded, revealing his white bones. This pain was monstrous, it was not something an ordinary person could withstand. Just thinking about it would make you shiver. What does this pain count as? This is nothing compared to the first trial. Wang Lin clenched his teeth and sneered. At this moment, Torren's roar from the illusory net became even more clear. Like a sword attempting to pierce through, it got closer and closer to the platform Wang Lin was on. As Wang Lin sat there, he could clearly see Torren inside the net. Torren's expression was ferocious as he let out a shocking roar. His 8 stars rotated rapidly and gave off an ancient aura. His punches were like a storm, and every time one landed, it caused the illusory net to tremble violently as if it could collapse at any moment. 14th breath, 15th breath. After 2 breaths, the rejection force from the throne increased several-fold. It was like a pair of ruthless hands that wanted to kick Wang Lin off the throne. 16. The moment the 16th breath arrived, the rejection force reached a peak. There was a rebound force, then the rejection force disappeared for a moment and became a suction force. The rejection force below Wang Lin dissipated, but he didn't relax and instead his pupils shrank. This was the calm before the storm. After the calm, the world would be destroyed. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to roar, "Ling Dong, Ju Jin, resist with full power." The suction force from the throne didn't just pull in Wang Lin, it also pulled from the beating heart in the 3rd layer through a mysterious method. The powerful aura from the heart pierced the void and rushed into the throne. The moment the aura arrived, the suction force from the throne dissipated and a rejection force 100 times stronger erupted. Although this rejection force lasted only an instant, it destroyed the entire lower half of Wang Lin's body. Thunderous rumbles echoed as Wang Lin's legs collapsed. At the same time, esteemed Ling Dong, who was helping Wang Lin resist this force, trembled. His left hand shattered as well. He was also hit by this powerful force and was forced to retreat several steps. His head rose up and he coughed out blood before he retreated even more. Although he was forced to retreat, he still strictly obeyed Wang Lin's command. His hand formed a seal and a giant black statue appeared. This black statue was the Lingdong clan's devil god. It let out a roar as its arms loosened and pressed down on Wang Lin through the void. Zhu Jin's face also turned pale and cracking sounds came from his right hand. His bones turned into powder and his right arm collapsed. He took a few steps back while coughing out blood, and then he let out a roar, causing a blood-red wolf phantom to appear behind him. The blood wolf let out a roar and jumped over Zhu Jin to help withstand the force from Wang Lin's body. Lingdong and Zhu Jin withstood 70% of that explosive force, so Wang Lin only had to withstand 30%. If not for those two, it would have been very difficult for Wang Lin to last 16 breaths. Although the throne had erupted with 100 times the rejection force, the aura of inheritance had also increased 100-fold. Some of that aura had rushed into his body during the collision. Wang Lin's body rumbled as this aura rushed in. The seventh star that was about to form flashed violently. It was rapidly moving toward being complete. It looked like it only needed 3 more breaths to completely appear. A 7-star ancient god was about to appear. Torsen's roar became even more clear and the illusory net seemed to be getting pulled to its limit. It came closer and closer to Wang Lin. In a flash, it was less than 10,000 feet away. Torsen's body continued to expand and became tens of thousands of feet long as he continued to slam into it. The illusory net could no longer withstand it and fine cracks appeared all over it. Open for this god. Open. Open. Torsen did not notice Wang Lin's existence as he roared. There was a sense of excitement in his ferocious expression. Damned ancient order, this inheritance belongs to this god. In this star system, no one else beside this god is qualified to take it. Yet you make all these obstacles. Have you become dumb? Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, his lower half had collapsed and only his upper half remained. However, Wang Lin didn't care. As long as he could keep the aura in his body and become a 7-star ancient god, all of this could be restored. The recovery ability of a 7-star ancient god was far stronger than a 6-star ancient god. 17th breath. The 100 times rejection force suddenly increased. Although it was only a few-fold, it was on the basis of 100 times the previous rejection force. Even if Torsen had been sitting here, his body would collapse and he would die. This powerful rejection force directly rushed out. Wang Lin's body trembled and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His expression became ferocious as if he had gone mad. Since Ancient Order Yimo could sit on this throne, then why can't I, Wang Lin, sit here? I will sit here. I want to see you stop me. The rejection force was like a tsunami rushing into Wang Lin's body, and it also rushed into the phantoms Lingdong and Zhu Jin had summoned. The unimaginable force rushed into the statues, causing them to tremble before collapsing into countless fragments. Lingdong coughed out blood and was thrown off the platform. Zhu Jin's blood wolf let out a miserable howl before it vanished. Popping sounds came from Zhu Jin's body as he was thrown back several thousand feet into the ground. The two of them had helped Wang Lin resist a majority of the rejection force, but they could no longer help him for the time being. Now Wang Lin had to rely on himself. 18th breath. Although these breaths sound slow, all of this happened in an instant. Just as Zhu Jin and Lingdong were knocked back, the terrifying 18th breath arrived. At this moment, the roar from Torsen echoed violently. The giant illusory net could no longer bear it and began to collapse. Torsen was about to rush out, and he was less than 5,000 feet from Wang Lin. The 17th breath was when the rejection force had increased 100 times, and now it increased even more, making it so Wang Lin could no longer resist. The 7th star rotated rapidly, a majority of it had formed. He only needed 2 more breaths for it to fully appear. Just at this instant, Wang Lin's right hand suddenly rose up and reached out. A petrified ancient god body was grabbed by Wang Lin, and he threw it toward the illusory net that Torsen was breaking through. Thunderous rumbles echoed. As the rejection force erupted from Wang Lin's body, the petrified ancient god body smashed into the illusory net. It smashed into Torsen's giant head as he rushed out with indescribable excitement. At the same time as Wang Lin threw the statue, the unimaginable rejection force had rushed into his right arm and entered the petrified ancient god body that was thrown at Torren. This rejection force was so powerful that Wang Lin's right arm could no longer withstand it. Right after he threw the petrified ancient god body, his right arm collapsed. However, the rejection force had found an outlet and the petrified ancient god body flew like an arrow and smashed into Torren's head. A mournful scream came from Torren's mouth. Then a thunderous rumble came from Torren's body and he coughed out blood as he was knocked back. Wang Lin. Torren was unable to see anything inside the palace. He had been channeling all his effort to force his way inside, but just as he entered, his vision went black from the giant ancient god body that was thrown at him. All of this happened too fast, so he couldn't dodge. He could only lift his right hand and resist it with the power of his 8-star ancient god body. However, he didn't expect the power from it to be so terrifying. That powerful force entered Torren's body like crazy. The bones inside his right arm unexpectedly broke and he was knocked back. As he coughed out blood, he also saw Wang Lin sitting on the throne above the stone platform. With the help of Torren, Wang Lin had used his right arm as the price to pass the 19th breath. The 7th star between his eyebrows had clearly taken shape and was reaching the point of completion. The terrifying 19th breath descended. At the same time, Torren clearly saw the 7th star that was forming between Wang Lin's eyebrows. No one knew Wang Lin's ancient god body better than Torren. He immediately understood everything after seeing this. He was aware that Wang Lin was going through the inheritance that originally belonged to him. You took my memory inheritance and now you are going to steal my ancient order inheritance. Torren's eyes were bloodshot as he charged forward like a madman despite his injuries as the 19th breath descended. He moved extremely fast and immediately closed in on the net he had broken. He was about to enter. When the 19th breath arrived, the rejection force was impossible to calculate. Wang Lin's waist collapsed and it rapidly spread across his body. In just a moment, his chest exploded. His remaining left arm also released popping sounds. Just as it was about to collapse, Wang Lin revealed a crazed look and pointed to between his eyebrows, causing 20 ancient leaves to appear. With a wave of his left hand, the 20 ancient leaves charged forward. After finishing this last action, his left arm shattered. Seal. Ling Dong, Zhu Jin, stop this person. The 20 ancient leaves moved extremely fast and sealed the net the moment Torren was about to charge through. Torren collided with the 20 ancient leaves. However, Torren was extremely powerful, so much so that not even the realm sealing formation could stop him. Just as the ancient leaves arrived, Torren threw out a punch. Thunderous rumbles echoed and 3 of the 20 ancient leaves immediately collapsed. Torren's right hand reached through the opening created by the 3 collapsed leaves and was about to tear them apart. Ling Dong clenched his teeth and charged forward, ignoring his injuries. His hand formed seals and a monstrous, purple sea rushed out containing countless Joss flame souls. The mighty wave rushed forward. Zhu Jin also jumped into the air and roared as he waved his hand. Wolf herd, worship the moon. As he spoke, illusory wolves appeared around Zhu Jin. In a flash, hundreds of thousands of wolves appeared, and they filled the world. A round blood moon appeared above the palace. These hundreds of thousands of wolves let out howls and turned into smoke that fused with the blood moon. After the blood moon absorbed the hundreds of thousands of wolves, it descended toward Torren's fist. 2 early-stage Nirvana Void cultivators were using their most powerful spells against Torren. Thunderous rumbles echoed. The moment Ling Dong's purple sea descended, the blood moon smashed down. Torren's right hand had to retreat. However, as his right hand withdrew, Torren's head broke out from the gap. He let out a roar that shook the entire palace. The roar of the ancient god. His roar was like thunder, and it spread across the palace. This roar was deafening, containing the power of an ancient god. It created a powerful storm that swept across the palace with a tyrannical aura. Ling Dong coughed out blood and the purple sea collapsed. He fell to the ground and no longer had any strength to fight. Zhu Jin's blood moon distorted and miserable screams echoed from it. The wolves that were absorbed collapsed one by one, and soon the blood moon itself also disintegrated. Zhu Jin's face was pale and his chest caved in. He coughed out blood as he was knocked back and smashed into the ground. The storm formed by the roar of the ancient god swept across the palace. The bodies of the countless cultivators collapsed. Even the 8 corpse mountains turned to dust, and even the 8 dragons disintegrated. Only the corpses of the 3 ancient order clan members didn't collapse from this roar. Torren went crazy. He let out a fierce roar. Wang Lin had stolen his memory inheritance, and now Wang Lin was going to steal his ancient order inheritance, so how could he not be crazy? Even at the expense of being seriously injured, he was going to steal back what he thought belonged to him. Now that Ling Dong and Zhu Jin could no longer block him, his arm reached into the gap left by the ancient leaves. He tore at them and was about to rush in. All of this happened extremely fast. Wang Lin's body continued to collapse as the powerful rejection force from the 19th breath rushed into his body. His chest and left arm dissipated into the air. Only a head floated in the chair, and only a lingering will kept the head connected to the throne. However, the collapse wasn't over. The 19th breath became extremely slow, seeming like it wouldn't end. Cracks appeared on Wang Lin's chin before it dissipated into nothing. His lips, nose, and eyes all dissipated into the void. Only the 6 stars between his eyebrows remained, rotating rapidly. The collapse continued and was about to reach Wang Lin's ancient god stars that held his origin soul. The 7th star suddenly gave off a dazzling light. Then a mighty flow of ancient god power erupted from the 7th star like a tidal wave. As it erupted, the 7th star instantly went from illusory to solid. It crossed the line and now was complete. When the 7th star appeared, the 7 stars slowed down and slowly rotated. The 7 stars turned one circle. An ancient god power countless times stronger than when he only had 6 stars erupted. The power moved down from the 7 stars toward Wang Lin's head. His eyebrows, closed eyes, and lips appeared in a flash. A complete head appeared, making it seem as if Wang Lin was reborn. Then the 7 stars rotated a second full circle. Wang Lin's neck, chest, abdomen, arms, and his entire upper body appeared. His bones appeared first, followed by his flesh and innards. Every single strand of muscle contained a large amount of ancient god power. Every inch of bone contained powerful ancient god aura. When Wang Lin's ancient god stars finished the 3rd circle, his lower body suddenly appeared. Wang Lin's new ancient god body was not thousands of feet tall, but 10,000 feet tall. 10,000-foot ancient god. 7-star ancient god. 10,000-foot royal ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. His body still remained seated on the throne, he didn't move an inch. The 7 stars rotated slowly and then rapidly sped up as ancient god power filled his body. Wang Lin felt as if he could blow up a planet with just one punch. Also, at this moment, the most powerful blow from the Black Tortoise clan that the 2nd generation Vermilion Bird taught him appeared in his mind. The understanding of how to use force filled his mind. Scenes of avatars from the inheritance came from the throne. These spells were like a fragmented divine sense, and they became his own memories. At the same time, because Wang Lin had lasted 18 breaths, his divine sense formed an inexplicable connection with the throne. This connection was extremely strange. Not even Wang Lin could figure it out in a short period of time, and he didn't have the time to ponder. It was because of this connection that this throne seemed to turn into a platform. As Wang Lin sat there, the entire map of the 3 layers of the ancient tomb appeared in his mind. His divine sense was magnified tens of thousands of fold by the throne through a mysterious method. He could feel a will inside this tomb. It was the remains of ancient Order Yi Mo's will. Wang Lin's divine sense was magnified and then fused with this will. His divine sense suddenly rushed out from the palace. The first who felt it was Torren. His roar stopped and his body trembled. Terror appeared in his eyes. In the 9th map, the charming woman had a gloomy expression as she charged forward. The restriction she had been using to control Torren had loosened, and this made her feel very uneasy. I didn't expect that small ancient god to get there first. However, I have to ascend, so I still have a chance. However, how did this restriction loosen? She frowned as she pondered while flying forward. The woman's body suddenly stopped and crazed wind seemed to come from the spatial rifts around her. She suddenly looked up and her expression changed. She clearly felt a divine sense that could make her tremble sweep by her. This divine sense was extremely powerful, causing her mind to rumble. She was startled for a long time before she recovered. Terror filled her eyes. This is... Whose divine sense is this? Could it be that ancient Order Yimo wasn't killed by the Celestial Sovereign? In the 9th map, Devil Master 9 Heaven's avatar was also rapidly moving through the tomb. Although Wang Lin had taken the first step, he wasn't worried, as his original body was already in the tomb. Steal. Even if you steal everything, you can't leave the ancient tomb alive. There was a flash of coldness in Devil Master 9 Heaven's eyes. However, at this moment, a roar came from the void and the turbulence around him scattered. In a flash, a powerful divine sense swept through his body and went far away. However, this sweep caused him to tremble. His mind trembled and his expression changed greatly. When the divine sense swept by, he had the illusion that all his secrets had been seen through by that divine sense. Terrified, he stopped in the air. His eyes were filled with shock. At that moment, his scalp went numb and he almost lost his wits. He had only experienced this feeling before he became a third-step cultivator. Whose divine sense is that? Devil Master 9 Heavens stared at the void ahead. For the first time, fear appeared in his heart. He and the woman in pink weren't the only ones like this. All the surviving cultivators in the tomb felt this monstrous divine sense sweep by. They were all terrified. This divine sense was filled with a domineering aura, as if the Emperor of the Heavens was looking down from above. In the 7th map, there was an old man wearing linen cloth. His lips were sealed by 3 needles and his old face revealed a cruel expression. Great Desolation, who had entered with his original body, rushed through the ancient tomb. His arcane void cultivation erupted as he rushed through the tomb. No one could stop him. He quickly moved forward and crossed a map with just 5 steps. However, he suddenly stopped and his eyes lit up. Wang Lin's divine sense that had fused with the ancient tomb swept by. Great Desolation's hand formed a seal and reached out as if he wanted to grab the divine sense that terrified him. However, just as his right hand reached out and touched the divine sense, he felt a powerful force from it. A thunderous rumble echoed as Great Desolation was forced to retreat. His expression immediately changed and his mind trembled. "Who are you, Your Excellency?" No one answered him, and the divine sense continued to spread out. As it spread out, it crossed the 7th map, 6th map, 5th map. In the 2nd map, Devil Master 9 Heaven's original body and Miao Yin were calmly moving forward. They crossed immeasurable distances with just 1 step. However, Devil Master 9 Heaven's expression suddenly changed. This old man's avatar has found. Before he could finish speaking, he suddenly stopped. The divine sense that his avatar felt suddenly swept by them. Miao Yin's pupils shrank. He unexpectedly felt his mind get affected by this divine sense, which shocked him. He looked at Devil Master 9 Heavens. Devil Master 9 Heavens' expression was gloomy and there was also shock in his eyes. Very strong. Very, very strong. The 3rd Celestial Imperial concubine had given up on moving further into the tomb. She was quickly flying back to the 1st map. She had given up any chance of finding a fortune here and had chosen to leave. She had a very bad feeling that if she didn't leave now, she would be kept here forever. Just as she was rushing forward, the divine sense swept by. Just as it swept past her, the divine sense stopped. The woman in white trembled and sweat filled her forehead. She stopped and actually didn't dare to move an inch. Her heart pounded as the divine sense surrounded her body. It was as if everything about her was being seen through. Aside from fear, she felt a sense of exasperation that she quickly suppressed. After a long time, the divine sense slowly left her body and continued to spread forward. The woman in white didn't relax until the divine sense left, and her face was slightly red. After a moment, she looked at where the divine sense went with a complicated gaze. Wang Lin was sitting in the palace, and his divine sense was spreading out outside of his control. He saw all the ancient star system cultivators inside the ancient tomb. He saw the charming woman and Devil Master Nine Heavens avatar. As his divine sense spread out, he saw great desolation, Devil Master Nine Heavens' original body, Miao Yin, and finally the woman in white. As his divine sense spread out even more, he saw the spatial rift that led to the ancient star system. Wang Lin's divine sense finally stopped by the spatial rift. At this moment, due to being fused with the ancient tomb, Wang Lin saw some things he couldn't see with his current cultivation level. An existence that not even people like Tao Master Miao Yin could see. This spatial rift was being kept open by a great spell, so it couldn't close. Outside the spatial rift, in the ancient star system, the huge palm print still hadn't dissipated. The black-robed figure under the palm print was still there, floating outside the spatial rift. However, just as Wang Lin's divine sense closed in on the spatial rift, the man in the black robe suddenly raised his head. His eyes shined brightly. His gaze seemed to penetrate the spatial rift, and he saw Wang Lin's divine sense. Silence. The two of them silently looked at each other through the spatial rift. "Who are you?" the two of them said at almost the same time. The difference was that the man in the black robe had spoken with his mouth. His voice was ancient and hoarse, as if two things were being rubbed together. Wang Lin's voice had come through the fluctuation of divine sense and the will of the ancient tomb. It also gave people the feeling that it was ancient. The man in the black robe slowly said, "This old man is the ancient star system's sovereign." Inside the spatial rift, Wang Lin silently pondered. No response came out for a long time. The man in the black robe frowned and slowly said, "No matter who you are, please let them out. This old man will thank you later." Fishing for the moon in the well, very good spell. A moment later, Wang Lin's words extended out from the rift and entered the black-robed man's mind. The black-robed man was shocked and didn't hesitate to wave his right hand. The giant palm print roared as it smashed down at the spatial rift. However, he was a step too late. Wang Lin had fused with the will of the ancient tomb, so he was the tomb itself. The spatial rift should have closed but was being kept open by an external force. Now, with Wang Lin's will, the spatial rift rumbled and the force keeping it open could not withstand the power of the entire tomb along with Yimo's residual will. The spatial craft rapidly shrank. Once it closed, Wang Lin could place a seal on the ancient tomb so that it couldn't be opened for tens of thousands of years. This would make it so that the people who had entered here would have no way of escaping. Destroy 30% of the ancient star system's power. The black-robed man let out a roar and rushed next to the rapidly shrinking spatial rift. He lifted his dried-up hand and it fused with the descending palm print. The huge palm print seemed to fuse with his right hand and smashed down on the spatial rift. At this moment, an extremely hot energy came from his right hand. This heat wasn't fire but light. This was the law of origin. The light was dazzling, and it landed on the spatial rift. It pierced the spatial rift and shot toward Wang Lin's divine sense. The power of the palm was extremely strong. The entire ancient tomb trembled when the light landed on Wang Lin's divine sense that had fused with the ancient tomb. Wang Lin's divine sense was knocked back. The power of this palm was enough to destroy a world. The power of this palm was the limit of this star system. However, how could the will of the ancient tomb and Yimo's residual will be destroyed so easily? As the palm pushed through the spatial rift, a roar came from the third layer of the tomb. No one else could hear this roar. Only Wang Lin heard it clearly as he was fused with the will of the tomb. The roar entered Wang Lin's divine sense and caused the eyes of his physical body to shine brightly. As his eyes lit up, the roar that had entered his divine sense seemed to enter his body. A strange fluctuation spread through his body, causing Wang Lin's throat to let out a crazed roar. Roar? The power of the roar caused the world to change colors and shook eternity itself. Storms covered the sky, and Torren coughed out blood and was knocked back. He used his arm to block before him, but the flesh on half of his body instantly disintegrated, revealing the white bones below. The body of an 8-star royal ancient god had collapsed. The roar came out of Wang Lin's mouth and shook the entire ancient tomb. Devil Master Nine Heaven's avatar collapsed without being able to resist at all. The fourth celestial imperial concubine coughed out blood. Her hand waved the satin that had allowed her to escape the danger from before. This satin was gifted to her by the ancient celestial sovereign. The satin collapsed. The charming woman let out a miserable scream and her body collapsed and her origin soul flew out. She used some unknown method to barely survive after her origin soul had collapsed several times. Great Desolation, Devil Master Nine Heaven's origin soul, and Miao Yin all coughed out blood and their bodies collapsed. Not even arcane void cultivators were qualified to resist this roar. However, as arcane void cultivators, they all had life-saving spells. After surviving this roar, they all took out spare physical bodies that had been refined. Their eyes were filled with monstrous terror and they didn't dare to continue. They didn't hesitate to retreat and attempt to leave this ancient tomb. The roar echoed and charged at the spatial rift inside the first map. It collided with that palm print. The power of a roar. This video will end here.